continue today with multicriteria decision making, and I hope to have some time to talk to you about preference elicitation for multicriteria decision making. So let's start by a small abstract or recapitulation of what we said in the first courses. So in the first presentation. In the first presentation, I tried to insist on the modeling part of the problem, which is so the message that I want to say to you was the first one is about when you have a problem, if you you need to think about what is your problem, and don't forget that you have different approaches depending on the problem that you will define. You can define a choice problem, a ranking problem, or an ordinal classification, a categorization problem. And sometimes even if you want to do a choice problem, it is better to have also an idea about the quality of your alternatives. We also talk about how to model, how to find the attributes of your problem. And we said that it is better not to do a data-driven or alternative-driven modeling, and to be focused on our values, moral values. And then in order to illustrate all these things, I choose to use this toy example about human developed countries. And we see that it is not just a toy example, because a very serious instance they are doing this. And we started to analyze Human Development Index here. And doing this, just remember what we have. So in this index, we have only 3 dimensions. The health approximated by life expectancy, which is normalized then. The knowledge approximated by expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling, and also a decent standard of living approximating by GNI per capita. And we saw also that in order to do the aggregation, they choose the geometric mean here, which is a little bit less compensatory than the arithmetic one, even though we will see today that there is again compensation. And we see that in order to multiply these 3 attributes, which are on very different scales, they do normalization. So they do two linear normalization using a minimum and a maximum values that they defined themselves in an absolute way, in a little bit arbitrary way. And for the GNI, where you have a big differences between countries, they wanted to do, first of all, a transformation with ln function, logarithmic approach. And then because the utility function is not linear, and then they again use the min-max normalization. Okay, so the first thing that we see during the first talk is that even here they said that they don't have different weights for these 3 attributes. They say that these 3 attributes have the same importance for them. We realize that the normalization can say also something about the importance that we give to the attributes. So, for instance, the normalization, we see that the normalization before, which was before they were using the Atkinson normalization for GNI, and then they changed to ln function, and everything is changed. So there was a big differences. So it means that even they continue to say that, okay, for us, these 3 attributes has the same importance. By doing this, they put a little bit less importance to GNI. Not exactly this, not exactly real what I said, but it's a little bit like this. And we stop here. So first of all, let's imagine that. So these are the real values in before 2000. So you have 2 countries, Gabon and Solomon Islands, and then you have these values that you know. So the life expectancy in Gabon, you cannot live too much time, 54 years only. They have some health problem, I think. In Solomon Islands, you can live more. So about the education, they are a little bit similar, but there's also a difference between the GDP, because before, instead of GNI, they were using GDP. And there is a difference about their GDP per capita. Okay, now we will do a personal projection, okay? There is no good or bad answer. Let's imagine that I propose you to end your life in Gabon or in Solomon Islands, okay? You will go there and you will live there. You will not say, okay, I'm European, I will not be like Gabon people, I will have security issues more than them. No, you will really live like people in these countries, okay? Let's think about you, and let's imagine that you don't have any other information about these two countries, okay? Even you like, okay, no information, just these three attributes. In which country do you want to go? There is no bad or good answer because it's personalized. Huh? Let's imagine. So I give you 30 seconds for this very important answer, okay? So let's imagine, you have to imagine yourself in Gabon or in Solomon Islands. You know the health issues, you know the educational issues, and you know how much money you will earn. Yeah, in average, of course, but you are an average person, okay? You will not say, okay, I'm special in Gabon, I will live more, or you will not say in Solomon Island I will earn more money, okay? You are an average person. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Who want to go to Gabon? Yeah, like 10 people. Who want to go to Solomon Island? Oh, the majority. Okay. Why? Why Gabon? Who said Gabon and why? Who said Gabon? I saw Martin. Allez. It is not good to know.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't care about living old, so I don't really care about life expectancy. And Gabon is better on the old area.
Okay, so it's acceptable argumentation. You say, okay, I want to live good, but not too much, not all. But it doesn't mean that you will live maybe good, because maybe
I'm an average person.
But you're average person. Yes. Yeah, you're right. Okay. And is there anyone who want to argument about the choice on the Solomon Island? Yeah.
Real GDP means nothing. We have no idea how many people live in the country. If there are 2 people living in the country, well, it is the most rich country in the world. But yeah, we don't know.
It's per capita. It's per capita, oh, and it's the average. So. Sorry. Yeah. So you already taken your flight, so too late. Wait. Yes.
The education is not so important because Muslims are already adults.
Okay, so for you it is dilated. Okay, they are similar. Okay, then why Solomon Island?
Because it has a lower score in education, but I already spent my education in another country, so it's fine for me.
Okay.
So now I just have
2 criteria, okay. And then which one do you prefer then? I didn't understand. Then money, and then you prefer Solomon Islands. Other argumentation about it? Yeah.
Same for dropping the education system, but I won't say I don't care about money, but just the gap between GDP and life expectancy is better for life expectancy.
Yes, I agree. I think that I didn't say that there is a no bad or good answer, but there is a good answer for me. I cannot imagine to live 16 years less because I will earn much more money. It's a little bit hard for me to say, but there's no good answer. So you're right. I think that it is not just saying which one is more important. It's also we have to pay attention to the gap. If it was just 5 years, maybe okay. But here the gap is very, very high. Here also the gap is very high. But maybe I will say that they don't have too much money, but they don't need, maybe because of the climate or because they know how to use their resources. And okay, so it was also the majority choice. So what I was saying, Gabon is better than Solomon Island in the majority of criteria, but very, very bad in life expectancy. So, but if in this period, when they calculated, they were using just the weighted sum by using the Atkinson transformation, okay? Do you remember the Atkinson transformation? If your GDP is below to the average of the world, you have exactly your GDP, and then if you are doubled, then the difference between the average and yourself, it will be this quarter of this difference, etc., etc. So they use this one, and using this one, so normally the Human Development Index will say that these two countries are equivalent, okay? But why they are equivalent? Because they are using a plus, and when you have a plus, your operator is compensatory. Okay, let's calculate. So we need some pens and okay. I want you to say me that, let's imagine that I'm in a country and you are in a country and you are the president of the country. And the most important thing for you, it is Human Development Index of your country. I don't know why, but let's imagine, okay? And your primary minister said, oh, COVID pandemic, because of this, we lose 1 year of life expectancy. And it is true. It is true. I think that it is 2 years in the world. So, but you don't care. You say, no, the most important thing is Human Development Index. So I want to have the same score, okay? Then let's do something with the GNI. I have to increase my GNI because I decrease my life expectancy. Then maybe I will have the same score. Please calculate me. You are the expert. Calculate me. I lose 1 year of life expectancy. How much I have to increase my GDP or GNI in order to have still the same score? How I will do it? So this is a trade-off that Denis told us. How I will do it? You have 20 seconds. No, it is just, yeah, we will not do all the calculations because it will be hard. It will take too much time, but let's take the formulates, okay? I'm sure that I will never do the preference elicitation thing. That's okay. Let's do, this is my country, okay? My life expectancy is L, okay? And before it was L minus 20 divided. I think that in this year it was 25 minus 25. And I was, and for the GDP, I had a transformation of my GNI for okay, for GNI minus the minimum one divided by the maximum one minus the minimum one. This is this year, but they told me that I lose 1 year here, okay? So I have to increase my GNI, let's say epsilon. Do you agree with my calculation? Okay, so then if I do this, I will just see the difference between GNI plus, no. Okay, so then using this formulate, I can find how much I have to increase my GNI per capita. But let's remember, this is we have a transformation before. So if I do this with Atkinson formula, a year of life is equivalent to add 100.9 US dollar, okay? Okay, so a year of life is equivalent to have, it's not really this, huh? So, but something like this. So I have to, no, this one. Okay. For the moment, you know to do it because especially if you did your master degree, you are all the time calculating this, you know, for your average marks. But this delta depends on the transformation that you used, okay? And this transformation, let's remember, we said that it is very normal to have a transformation which will not be linear. And we will be very, very angry with very rich country, and we will use the LN transformation or Atkinson transformation in order to decrease a little bit the importance of this GNI. And it was a good thing to do, I think, when you think. But the problem is that if you want to see what does it mean to increase $100 in a poor country or $100 in a rich country, it doesn't mean the same. In a poor country, I think that it was a real value. It was Cyprus. A year of life is equivalent to $21,000. And a year of life in Chad, it was Chad, a year of life is equivalent to $100. So I think that there is something which is a little bit not nice for me. So what does it mean? So I think that there is a reality that if I increase the GNI, if I give $100 per capita to a poor country, probably I will save more people because they need drugs and it is easy to pay drugs for them. But it is harder to increase the life expectancy of a Japanese or a French people. Okay, it's normal. But even if I'm not so happy with this, what I'm saying, because I'm comparing the money with life, and I don't know if it is a good thing to do. Because let's imagine we started by saying, who will use this indicator, okay? If I am someone who give money to the countries, if I use this indicator, maybe I will give to poor country because I know that I have more chance to increase maybe their life expectancy. But let's imagine that I'm a bad person and I want to take some, how you say it in English, hostage, les otages. And I know that if my hostage are American people, their life means more than the life of African people because they are poor. Do you want me to say it, to normalize it in my indicator? I'm not so happy with this compensation. I think that it is not so good thing to have very compensatory aggregator when you use things like life expectancy and the money, because you are talking about you are comparing 1 year of life with money, and if you use this type of nonlinear normalization, which is a good idea, but then you end up with this type of things which can be a little bit disturbing. Okay. And now, if Remember that now they are using not arithmetic mean, but a geometric one. And if I use this geometric one, I will even end up saying that Gabon is better than Solomon Islands, even though I know that there is a big, big gap of life expectancy. Why? Because Gabon is more balanced, and we said that this multiplication is there because we want to have balanced countries, but Gabon is more balanced because Solomon Islands, even if they don't have enough money, they can live a long time and in health. Okay. And what I say, it is not a toy example. Even in 2019, you can see, for instance, that you have Rwanda. It's hard to read, I'm sorry. You have Rwanda and Nigeria, and Rwanda is before Nigeria, but they have more than 15 years of difference in life expectancy, and a big gap also for, with GNI. And this time, it is the life expectancy who win, but it is just a hazard. And also, for instance, you can also see with Gabon and Kyrgyzstan. So I'm so close. With Gabon and Kyrgyzstan, you can see that Gabon is 66 years, I think, and Kyrgyzstan is 71. So there are 5 years of difference in life expectancy. But in Gabon, since you have the gas, then you have more GNI. And this compensation is very important because of this, for Gabon, we will say that it is a high human developed country, and Kyrgyzstan will be a medium developed country. Okay, so another way. So if I do this compensation now, the trade-off now with the multiplication, then I will, for instance, see that in Gabon, a year of life of Gabon citizen is 1,500, and 1 year of life a citizen of Kyrgyzstan is $390. Okay, so the message that I want to say you, generally we like weighted sum or geometric mean because we are used to use them. As Denis said, because we are used to be evaluated like this, we all the time using, so sometimes we don't think that they can say very not moral or ethic things like this. So we can maybe avoid the compensation. There are some methods like elect methods. You can, for instance, comparing these two countries, you can say that when you compare these two countries, you will just see which are the attributes which are good. For instance, the majority say that Gabon is better than Solomon. So then I want to say that Gabon is better than Solomon because the majority say this. But in these methods, you can put a veto saying that, okay, Gabon is better than Solomon for the majority of the criteria, but the gap in the minority of criteria is too big. So I cannot say that Gabon is better than Solomon Island. But even though I cannot say that this one is better than this one because the majority doesn't agree. So in this type of methods, you will have the incomparabilities, and it is not so bad because if you don't know, so if you have this incomparability, maybe you will start to say, let's think more about the disaggregation. Let's think more about my model. If I have to choose between them, maybe I need more information, etc., etc. So having incomparability, there is a big discussion about it. Some people don't like it because I have to do a choice. But some other people say that when we have incomparabilities, then sometimes it's a message to say that you need to do more than what you are doing. Okay.
The data to speak. So the data speak which
I don't understand the.
Your data can tell you that when the GDP increases some percentage, what is the change of the life expenditure? You have all these types of data.
Yes.
So your data can test you whether which theory can support which model.
No, I don't. No, I'm not. I don't agree. I don't agree that the data must say me how I will organize my values. I don't think that it is a good way. I think that you have to start. This is my personal idea. I think that economists and statisticians don't like it, but I think that you have to start with your values. You have to be focused on your values and then use the data correctly. And of course, the data is important, but you cannot say that just I will see the data and then conclude.
Here you have just a two ways, the geometry to
Ah, yes. Ah, yes, yes, sorry. Because I was, I think so much about this problem, so that's why I was saying this, but yes, okay, if you have to choose between them, then you can maybe do some analysis, sensibility analysis also to see if what is changing and if you are happy with this. Yes, of course. Sorry, I don't understand correctly. Okay. Okay. So I will, for the moment, I will stop here about the Human Development Index because I use this history in order to give some examples. So now, since we are all scientifics, let's analyze this Human Development Index. What do you like with this index and what you don't like with this index? Maybe you can say also some other things that I didn't mention. So any idea about this Human Development Index? Yes?
Perhaps a bit picky, but about the speed, not speed, but the price. So better ones like purchase parity, or so rather than the mean, it could be the median.
Or median. Yes, I completely agree. They are using the average of GNI, etc. You have some other indicators which are, I think, less compensatory, like Gini index. I don't know if you know Gini index. So you can use the Gini index. The Gini index is a great one. I like it. I will just say like this, up. Okay, let's imagine that this is your population, and I will divide my population between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the poorest people here, and then the other a little bit less poor people, less poor people. It is a cumulative representation of my population about how poor they are. Okay, and then this is my, let's imagine, all my resource, okay, 100. So if my distribution is completely egalitarian, I will have this one, okay? So the 20% of people, the poorest one, they will have the 20% of this amount. The 40% of people will have the 30% of this amount, etc. So this is the perfect equality. But generally, if I see, for instance, the GNI, then maybe I will have this one, saying that poor people are very, very poor, very, very poor, and rich people are very rich, okay? And then this Gini index will calculate this surface. And if this surface is equal to 0, it means that you have a perfect equality in your country. And if it is big, it means that there are a lot of differences between people. Okay, so this is the first critique, and I agree with you. Other things? Yeah?
Some of these are already aggregations, so we are aggregating aggregations.
So we are aggregating other aggregated things, yes. Yeah, you're right, but we generally do this, huh? But you're right, because when I aggregate something, I lose information, and then I aggregate them, I will lose more information, and yes, you're completely right. Yes, and all the bias will be accumulated, you're right, yes.
Balance scoring. It seems weird that if someone scored very well in life expectancy and education with a low GDP will be penalized, and I can see this being more appropriate if you have a high GDP and you don't invest in life expectancy.
Yes, so you don't like the aggregation method. I agree with you. Yes, yes. You don't agree with the weights, maybe. You don't agree with the weights, or maybe you don't agree with this axiom that Denis, he really insists about it, this independence between criteria, you know. Maybe you want to say that, let's look, if I have a poor country, then put more weights, maybe, or not, I don't know. If I'm a poor country, maybe I have to pay more attention to life expectancy. If I'm a rich country, other things, etc. So maybe I want to violate this independence axiom also. Maybe, I don't know. Other things? Are there only problems? No one like it? Yes, that's true that indicators are done for lazy people, okay? That's true, because sometimes you have just information in a very concrete way, and these are numbers, so they are rational for people because there are numbers and there are some mathematical operators, so they are rational. So because we are doing very difficult calculation, but yeah, you're right. Some people need it. And in order to, I'm not against indicators. I work with indicators. I think that they are good. And because, especially when you want to give some messages. So the messenger, remember here, they wanted to say that there are some rich countries where you cannot live very well. But then why to aggregate life expectancy with with GNI? Maybe you can just say that I will just look at the life expectancy, education, equality, and then maybe rank the countries. I don't like ranking countries, but let's say. And then maybe point out some countries saying that you are a rich country. How is it possible that you do less than this poor country? So I don't know why they need really to aggregate the monetary issues with life. Yes, the last one, then, because I have to continue.
There are also problem scale, because scale of country is not really interesting for big countries. I mean,
the scale. Do you think that it is better to be a small country or big country?
I think it's more worth it for small country because, for example, in the United States, I think the index is not the same between Mississippi and Massachusetts. Right?
Yes, it's all the time the same thing. You know, when we talk about Gini index, it is the same thing. You think that there are some. When it is a small country, I can expect that in a small country there is no big deviations between people, etc., etc. I agree. Okay, so I agree. I also think about it. I think that the model is not a good one, but we remarked also, because when we start our courses, we put a lot of attributes. Where is the environment? Where is the equality? Where is the freedom? So I think that the model does not represent really the development of a country. And there is also this, why they are doing this, especially because of missing data. They wanted, so I think that their model was really driven by the data, and it is not so easy to have data about freedom, about environment, and then they threw away. And when they miss data, what they are doing, they are looking the countries which are similar to these countries, and then they put the number, but they did it in a very transparent way. So we see that there are some arbitrary choices about how you will normalize it. And we talk about the Gini index. We talk about the compensation. We talk about the independence between criteria. And can we really use this index in order to verify the evolution of the countries? Because they are doing this. They are all the time doing modification. So if you do modification, it is normal that the values change. So it is hard to use really the old scores in order to say that you are doing good or not. And the question that I want to mention also here, Are the categories meaningful? We didn't talk about the categories, but remember that they have 4 categories here. And how they do these categories, remember, they still do with the data. And really, this one, I don't agree. But if I can find it, okay. Where I put this thing. Ah, yes. Let's say they didn't think about what does it mean very high human development country. They didn't think about what does it mean a low human country. They didn't say that a low human country is a country where you cannot very well live and what is the meaning. There is no thinking about the categories. The categories are completely statistics. And it is very, very bad down. I don't know. It's forbidden to do this normally. You cannot divide just your data into 4 and say that, okay, the last one are not good one, etc. You have to define all these things. We do this with the students. Okay, come on. I will not take all my class and let's say I have 20 students and I will divide them into 4 and then I will say that the best one are here. No, I will just use, for instance, les mentions en France. I don't know if how is equivalent. You will say that if your average is between this value and this value, then I will give you la mention très bien. But it is maybe, I'm not sure that people really thought about it, but even though here, all these values, they said that they use the quartiles from the distribution of each dimension. And it is really, really completely meaningless for me. So I don't like it. So I decided to write an article about it. So if you are interested, come to see me. So for instance, if you want to do it correctly, because I think that this is the most important thing that I don't know. We need to compare countries. I don't know. Why we need to rank countries, I don't know. But probably I need to know the level of human development of a country, and it is meaningful. But if I want to do this, I will not check the other countries if they are developed or not. I will check myself. So for instance, there is a method that I want to talk to you, but very, very easily. Let's imagine that these are my criteria, okay? For instance, life expectancy, health, okay, GNI, and equality in my country. I will put all the minimum values here, all the maximum values here, and then I will work with the expert. And they will, for instance, for life expectancy, they will maybe put here, I don't know. Okay, so these are low developed country, medium developed country, high developed country, very high developed country, I don't know what. And then I will put some values. Let's imagine that here I put this value. Okay, so I will put different values. And these values will be used in order to have a frontier between the categories, okay? One, two, three, okay. Okay, so let's now imagine that I have a country where life expectancy is here, the health is here, so all the values is here. In which category do you want to put this country? Medium, yes, of course. Okay, now let's imagine that my country is like this, this, and this. Where will you put him? How you will do? Yeah, I think that all the criteria said that it is better than a low development country. Okay. All the criteria except one said that it is better even than a medium developed. Okay. And now, okay, maybe it is just a highly developed country. So if I ask, are you agree? Do you agree? Like in social choice theory, do you agree to say that this country is high developed one? This one he say yes. This one he say yes. This one he say yes because it's okay. So the majority of the criteria said yes. Then maybe I will put it in high developed country. Okay. But this one is not happy. But it is not so far from the frontier. But now let's imagine that it's here, okay? Then maybe the majority of the criteria say me to put it in the high developed country, but this one is very, very unhappy. Then he will put the veto. He will say that it is not possible to have 20 years of life and then say that it is a human developed country. It is not a highly developed country. It is not possible. He will put the veto. So this is the idea of elector tree. I really like this method because it's very easy to explain, and it's generally people like this idea of veto. Then you can maybe check how it works if you are interested. Okay. Okay. So we finished with. So I have just 15 minutes to talk about preference elicitation. So since I don't have too much time, I can give you this reference. So this book, in this book, you have many scientific work about elicitation methods, especially decision under uncertainty. You asked about it. So there are a lot of things about decision under uncertainty, but you have also for multi-criteria decision aiding. Okay, so I don't have time to really do it in an interactive way. Now it will be just me who talk, okay? So what is a good elicitation process? So good elicitation process, generally in multi-criteria decision-making, it is a little bit different from machine learning. We start by saying that I have this model. I will do weighted sum, or Choquet integral. I start by saying this, and then I will try to learn the decision parameters or using some examples. So what is a good elicitation process? A good elicitation process is a process which asks a small number of questions, of course. And how you can ask a small number of questions? You can do it by asking informative questions. So for instance, you can ask if A is better than Y, X is better than Y, or you can do the matching. We did it 2 days ago when you said me the salary that you will accept in order to change your job, okay? So you can do the matching questions, or you can say that choose one between X, Y, and Z, or you can ask a threshold for if the utility of this attribute is greater than a threshold, etc. So I think that the question that you will ask is very, very important. And if your question is very informative, for instance, this one is very, very informative, it's a good thing to do because you will ask less questions. But the problem is that if your question is very informative, it means that your decision maker has a big responsibility because he needs a very, very high cognitive effort to answer you. It is hard to do it. If you want to, maybe during the break, I can talk with you about an experiment that we did in École Centrale de Paris, where we see that even with students of this school, which are used to be rational guys, when you ask this type of questions, so they are saying n'importe quoi. Okay, so maybe we can talk about it. Of course, the time and the complexity issues are very, very important, and I think that the difference between machine learning and really preference learning for multi-criteria decision making is here. Is that we are all the time using linear programming, mathematical programming, etc., and we are not so good to handle big data, and we have problem of computation. And of course, a good elicitation will not do many mistakes. And what are we looking for? You can look for your decision parameters, like I want to know the weights of my weighted sum, or so generally when you do passive learning, you do this. But if you are doing active learning, meaning that in active learning, you start by asking questions and you choose the next question in order to say that if I ask this question, then I will put to less time in order to converge. So you have to choose the good question to ask. And if you do this, generally you try to not to find all the decision parameters, but to know enough in order to find an optimal solution or a solution with guarantee of performance or some possible or necessary optimal solutions. So just to see, okay, it is important. There is a web page. The name is Decision Deck. It's a project where you have many multi-criteria decision aiding tools, and it is open source. So what I don't like with this, so I like it, LAMSAT is also in this project. The thing is that all the open source softwares are not so user-friendly. You don't have to click, etc. So these are the real codes. So you cannot use in real-world applications, etc. But you are the majority of you are computer scientists, then you can go there, and there are a lot of things. The things that they are heterogeneous. So sometimes you have C++, sometimes you have Python, but you have a lot of things. So please use it because it's done for you. So okay, let's take a very simple example. Let's imagine that I will use a weighted sum. I cannot do easier than this mathematically. And I will use a weighted sum. Let's imagine that I have 6 alternatives. They are already normalized. So these are the utilities that I want to maximize. And the score of an alternative is its weighted sum. But I don't know the weights, okay? So I'm looking for the weights. But I have an expert who will say that the M1 is better than or equal to M4, okay? So M1 is better than M4. Then I know that 10W1 plus 50W2 plus 70W3 is greater than this one, W1 30 plus W2 10 plus W3 70. So I will write it, okay? Then if you do this, you will find that 2W2 must be greater than W1. So you have a linear constraint here. I will do the same thing for another example that he gave me, and I will find this one, and I will do this one also. Maybe I will put other constraints saying that the sum will be 1, and for each one, for each criteria, I don't want to have more than 0.5. So if I do this, I will have a feasible region here, okay? So so here, what does it mean? Here I have the first weight, W1. Here I have the second weight, W2, and W3, where is the W3? So 1 minus W1 minus W2, so I can have also W3. So I have W3 here, but you cannot see him. And what does it mean? It means that the first comparison that my expert give me is this one. And I know that all the weights which are here are okay with this comparison, but all the weights here, they are not okay with this comparison. So then doing this, I will find my feasible region. And now what I can do, if I'm doing active learning, let's imagine that I'm doing active learning. If I say that the next question that I will ask, I can choose it myself. What can be my strategy? Yeah. On the border? Here, for instance? Here? in order to see if I'm here. Let's imagine that I'm not here. If I'm not here, it means that I have all this. So I didn't divide my feasible region too much. So I think that it is not a very, very good way to do. But I give you a hint. So what is, yeah?
Yeah, you want to cut in half the decision.
Yes, the one idea, it will be to find the question who will cut my feasible region into two. So then I will throw away one half of my region. So this is a way that people do, for instance, when they are doing active learning with this thing. But you can also use other techniques. So we will talk about it, or not. But you will see them on my slides, okay? So another message. So the first message is that people say that, okay, now there are a lot of machine learning issues. Okay, that's why all the people in Multicriteria, they are trying to do preference learning. It's true. It's true because this is the challenge that we have, but we started very early. It is not real that we started now. So the first way to do preference learning was in 1982 with Jacques Lagrèze. So maybe there are others, but I know this one because it's from LAMSAD. So it was exactly what I explained you. It was for additive utility, and saying that the utilities will be non-linear, but linear like this. And they used linear programming because all my constraints are linear. Here I said that x is better than y. Then the utility of x is minus utility of y. Plus I can have some errors. Will be greater than an epsilon. And this utility, I will write it like a utility, linear utility. By parts, okay. And doing this, then my objective function will be to minimize the errors. So you have a preference learning method, which is very, very easy. And then, yeah, it is very good. But there is another one that I really like. So this is my favorite one. If you don't have too many alternatives, it is a very, very good one, I think. If Banacosta hear me, he is not from LAMSAT, okay? So I'm not doing, so the idea is, again, it's about weighted additive function. I don't know if Denis said you that you can have the same, there is a similar, if you have utility functions, you may have also a weighted version of this with normalized functions. So they are doing this. So these are two mathematicians, and the real mathematical fundamentals of Macbeth are really good. Okay, they are not doing n'importe quoi. And now I don't have time, but if you go, I put their web page. If you go to their web page, you have the software, and they have a tutorial with a video explaining you what is good. So how to use it, and it's a very, very good one. Why? Because they are asking questions not to compare two objects, but they ask questions in an ordinal way about the difference of preference intensities, which means that they start by getting ordinal data. A is better than B. Then they ask other questions in order to have a scale, interval scale. And then they propose you some utility functions. And which is very good also, they use, you can use reference points like neutral and good one, which is very good because psychologically, Kahneman and Tversky, if you know their prospective theory, they showed you that you don't have the same utility if you evaluate something as a gain or as a loss. And then you can use it here also with neutral and good. So then you can do it. And then they developed your utility function. And then you can choose different, because there are a lot of solutions. Then you can choose a solution that you like. And again, for the criteria, they are using also some simple and ordinal comparison. And using this data, they will have also the weights of the functions in a very good way. And they can also, if you give some inconsistent information answer, they can help you to change how to change your answers in order to have something which fit the model. And you can also have sensibility analysis. For instance, this is a case. So you have a criteria which called monetary criteria. Here you have all the weights of this criteria. And you have the utility function of all your alternatives. You know that if your, for instance, if the weights of this monetary criterion is less than this value, this is the teaching which will gain. If it is not the case, this is the banking who will gain. So then you can do some sensibility analysis with this. Okay, so I wanted to talk about actual challenges. So these two slides is in order to show you that it is not a new discovery, this preference learning for multi-criteria decision making. But then we had a period where people stopped working on it, and now, of course, because of machine learning, we started to work a lot on it. So the challenges that we have is to deal with more alternatives and more criteria to be good. And we are using different, more sophisticated models like Choquet integrals, etc. We are doing incremental learning. The most of them, they use minimax regret strategy in order to find the good question to ask, but there are entropy, there are probabilistic approach, there are how to cut the polyhedron, etc. And people work also with non-monotone utility functions like single picked one. Let's remember already talk. People work also with bipolar scales where the positive numbers and negative numbers will not be treated in the same way. And of course, the explanation, of course. So we are working also a lot about explanations on the results. So I will stop here. But if you are curious, I tried a lot of other aggregator on Human Development Index, Ordinal 1, Pareto dominance. This is the Copeland score. This is the OWA. I tried ELEC3 in order to see if I can find the decision parameters of ELEC3 which fit with their categorization in order to see what are their frontier and their weights. And I didn't find it. So yeah, I found it, but with a lot of mistakes. So which means that their categorization is not compatible with the philosophy of ELEC3. And I wanted to say you all the messages. So I put a lot of messages to be focused on your values, to know that you have a big responsibility as an expert in multi-criteria decision aiding. So you have to take time to model your problem. And remember that the additive methods are very compensatory, and there exist a lot of other methods that you can use. And also, if you use additive utility, remember that the weights are not important, but they are trade-off. And there are many things, many works on preference elicitation. And so these are the references that I used, and a little publicity, because marketing issues, okay? So I was in the jury of this lady. She is now maître de conférence. So you have to speak French, but if you speak French, she did a very great work with this preference elicitation method and all the review literature. Really very good one. And then if you want to learn more, but the problem is that she don't talk about pairwise comparison methods. So it is very OWA, Choquet, etc. But very wonderful, really easy to read. And so you can start by this, and that's all. So No, okay.